Hi, and welcome to 3 Questions, interviews that bring inspiration, information, and clarity on your business journey from some of today's most authentic movers and shakers. I'm your host, Yvette Bowen, owner of Copykeeper, copywriting and content marketing services for stressed out entrepreneurs. And in a few moments, there's a nice doggy in the background there. In a few moments, I'll be speaking with Wendy. Is it Wendy Kier or Wendy Kerr?
It is. It's Kier, K-I-E-R, Kier.
Wendy Kier, mentor and coach extraordinaire who helps solopreneurs turn their expertise into a signature premium program. And I was inspired to create this interview series because I've met some amazing men and women via LinkedIn that are literally kicking business butt because they do things their way. And I always find people like that really inspiring. And I know many of you business owners out there can feel stressed out and overwhelmed and need inspiration to be reminded that it's all worth it in the end. And one woman who definitely does business her way, speaking to me from Thailand at the moment, is today's guest, Wendy Kier. So I'm just going to read your bio, Wendy, all right?
Thanks, Yvette.
Okay. So Wendy is a renowned mentor and coach working with female entrepreneurs, speakers, authors and experts. Wendy helps her clients engage with a wide online audience and level up their businesses quickly. She has almost a decade's experience in the industry, has been featured online and in print, and is a go-to source for journalists writing about the creation of premium signature programs and the joys and challenges of running a location-independent business at 45 years plus. She doesn't look a day over 20. Hi, Wendy.
Hi, Yvette. Thank you very much for that compliment. That was lovely.
Oh, she looks fabulous. I know you'll have seen the pictures that go along with the interview series, and I know you'll be loving them as much as I have. So let's get to it, Wendy. My first question of the 3 questions is, what inspired you to start your business in the first place? What made you take the leap?
Well, it wasn't so much as a leap, it was more of a push, if I'm honest. I am dyslexic, and I always found working within organisations quite tricky, quite difficult. I faced quite a bit of discrimination, and I got to the point where I just had enough and just thought I can't do this anymore. And I decided to leave. So that was the push. Decided to leave, and then just thought, actually, I can't go into another organisation and, face the challenges over and over again repeatedly. So I just thought, actually, I'm going to give it a go at setting up and running my own business. So it was a bit of a push more than a leap.
Right. Were there any particular things as a dyslexic, as a woman with a big personality that you faced? I think that maybe some of our listeners might have faced that you could speak to.
Possibly. I think when you're dyslexic, you look at things very differently. I'm quite process. I don't like the word process driven, but I don't know any other way to explain it. But I am able to break complex information down into small steps. So I see things very differently and deal with conversations slightly differently. So I digest information differently. And that doesn't always sit well with a group of people that have a tendency to all think, the
same way.
The same way. Yeah. So you can feel like, whether you are or not is a different matter, but you can feel like you're the odd one out, that you don't necessarily fit in, that people don't necessarily understand you. And, it can come back to you in different ways in terms of energy, personalities, workload. So
I can completely relate to that. 100%. Yeah.
It just became too much. It just became too overwhelming. I just got sick of, people's lack of understanding. Stuff. People's stuff, basically. Yeah, stuff. Let's call it stuff. Yeah.
Let's call it that. Let's be polite, because Lord knows there's lots of things I'd say, but they wouldn't be interview friendly.
Yeah.
So you took the push. You didn't take the leap.
I was pushed. Yeah, I was.
And how
pushed.
did it come about? How did you know what you wanted to do?
Well, to be honest, I didn't. My background is working with young people at risk in the inner city of London, so I didn't actually know what I wanted to do, and I fell into life coaching. That's where I started off, and soon discovered that actually life coaching really does not sell. You're probably very good at what you do. It doesn't sell. Life coaching does not sell because it's not based on a result.
Yes.
It's always starting at where the person's at, which is a very, very difficult thing to sell.
Yes.
It's a very good skill to have, but it is a skill. It's not necessarily a business.
Yes.
So I started there and did badly. And then I fell into social media because of my skills around communication and loved doing that. Started creating online courses, realized that actually that's a really hard sell unless you have a big network to sell them to. So you're never going to be in profit because your audience isn't generally big enough to be able to make it work.
Yes.
And then I stopped and asked my community what is it that they actually wanted. I gave them some choices and they said they would like to be able to create a premium signature program. So that's what I've been doing ever since.
Oh, that's amazing. There's a lot of juicy stuff in there to unpack. So the first thing is like clarity when you're starting your business, and that there's a willingness to be unclear and to not know where you're going and to carry on sort of refining and moving forward. Was it always easy to get up and get back on the horse?
No.
Short answer.
No. It really wasn't. I'm not going to say it was easy. I don't think being an entrepreneur is easy. There is, even with the political stuff that's going on at the moment, that has definitely had an impact on my business. If it's impacted on my business, I'm honest about it. It'll have impacted on other people's businesses. So things are unpredictable in business.
Yes.
And you have to be resilient. It's not easy. You have to, especially being a woman as well. I'm very sensitive. I can be, I'm a very sensitive woman. I can take things too personally. So no, it's definitely not easy, but the trick is just to keep recovering, is just to keep getting back up. Yes. As painful as it is, that's the nature of business.
Yeah, so true. And just everything you're saying, it's resonating very deeply with me. And I know it's going to resonate with the people that I'm aiming this at, the people who are already out there having their own businesses. They're stressed out, they're going through challenges, they're doing too much, and they're not always sure what the next step is. So what you're saying, having come out the other side, is really, really powerful. And then the other thing is about asking people what they want. So is that when you would say the challenges ended, or did you have further challenges around things even after you knew what people wanted?
I think there's always going to be challenges, but as soon as I did that, my business completely changed.
Right.
I'd managed to hit the sweet spot, probably from making an awful lot of mistakes, if I'm honest, along the way. And then sorry, that is the dog.
Hey, dog. What's the doggy's name?
The doggy's name is called Stinky. And Stinky is in Thailand, there are a lot of stray dogs. Yeah. She turned up here when she was a puppy and they decided to keep her. Oh. So she hangs out in the garden, protecting the property. But she lives up to her name. She lives up to her name. She really does. She really does. I called her Stinky as a joke, and then they decided to name her Stinky. So it's stuck.
That's poetic justice. That is, Stinky. Sort yourself out. That's what it is. Sorry, we were interrupted by Stinky. Where were we?
So I hit a sweet spot, and the business has just grown from there.
Mm.
The thing is, you know, we are very good at delivering on what it is that we do. I'm very good at helping people create a signature program. But on top of that, you have layers and layers on top of a business, don't you? You've got your marketing, you've got your advertising, you've got your sales, you've got your accounts, you've got all of these other things that go on top of what it is that you are good at. And those are I find those are the challenging bits, is thinking about all the extra arms and legs it is that you've got to deal with, as well as getting new clients in and servicing new, you know, the ongoing clients it is that you're working with.
Completely get that. So that is like question number 2, like what are the major challenges that you have to face and how did you overcome them, which you kind of answered, but now you've moved into this place of specifics. What sort of solutions did you find? Were you a solopreneur and then having assistance, or what were you doing to overcome some of those challenges of marketing and all of that?
The biggest challenge by far for me was my money mindset, was the relationship I've had with money. So as soon as I moved out from being cheap, basically, you know, being not charging a fair price for what it is I was delivering on, as soon as I went from, so in the olden days, 2 years ago, it's not that long ago, the olden days, I created a membership website for professional female speakers. It was £37 a month membership. I found that a really, really hard sell because it was cheap. Right. So now, if I work with a one-to-one client at a premium, I charge them £5,000.
Wow.
Believe it or not, it is easier to sell 5,000 than it is to sell 37.
I hope you're listening out there, people.
This is just about the belief that you hold around money, what your value, how you see the value it is that you have to offer, along with what it is that you have created. So how you're positioning yourself. Yes. That was by far my biggest challenge, and I basically struggled in my business for 8 years until I realized that my whole relationship with money was just an illusion, and it just wasn't true. As soon as I got my head around that, everything changed. Everything.
That is very, very, very exciting. And I can imagine people are having light bulb moments going off. And even the idea that some of the services weren't selling because they were too cheap is other people's money mindsets, how it all plays in one into the other. It's really fascinating. So if you don't share anything personal necessarily, but what were some of your beliefs around money that you had to clean up?
Yeah, I was brought up in care. Mm-hmm. So I went into care when I was 2. So I went into care, and being in care is, you know, you really are coming from a place of lack. You know, you basically get clothes donated. Well, this is like 30 years ago. You get clothes donated for Christmas. It's a real, not a nice place to be. It's not a nice experience. So my mindset, and it still does it, I have to keep it in check, because if I don't keep it in check, it runs wild. My mindset was always coming from a place of lack. So my baseline was that people couldn't afford it. People would never afford to pay, never pay that amount of work to work with me. So I had all of these underlying beliefs that stopped me from seeing my true value of what it is that I had to offer.
Yes.
And as soon as I started to explore that and understand about money more and my own personality, my relationship with money, then did things completely change.
And that is as you say, it keeps coming up. So it must have been an ongoing back and forth process at the beginning in particular.
Yeah. Well, what I found is, and this isn't unique to me, is that, you know, so for 8 years, I hit £10,000 consistently for 8 years, around £11,000 in the business. And then when I hit 50, the same thing started to happen.
Wow, yes.
But
every threshold.
Yeah. The same mindset stuff came up. So it was a case of just re-looking at the business, looking at the mindset stuff and thinking about, actually, what is it that I need to do to leverage the business more? Because if not, I'm going to have exactly the same. I'm going to hit the same figure next year for sure. I'm doing all of the same stuff. It's predictable.
Yeah. And so this is like it's a mind excavation, but it's also a lifestyle change as well. What were some of the things you did specifically to overcome those mindsets that you now share with other people?
Yeah, so I do, I don't know if you've heard of money archetypes.
No, I haven't, no.
So there are 8 money archetypes, and I did a course in studying about the archetypes, and it's something that I also do with my clients as well. And I followed that program basically and did the exercises around money and also doing it with my clients. So I've used those principles to up level my mindset, read books as well, studied money. So it's a constant, I'd say money is a constant work in process, because it's very, very easy when times get tough just to slip back into
automated responses.
Yeah, exactly. Money thinking, I call it.
Yes. Yeah, this is so exciting to listen to, because, not only could I relate, but I can see that it happens in every single area of our lives, wherever we're triggered. Yeah. There's some mindset that's holding us back and causing us to revert back to ways that are no longer helpful for us to move through the world. And then you need people like you who have been through it, have come out the other side, know what they're talking about, to help us unlock from that. And so in your work with other women, what are some of the common themes that come up with them? Is it very similar to yours?
No. What is, in terms of, it's quite interesting. Most of the women that I work with, in terms of their money archetypes, they will be, say, a connector or a nurturer. Connectors and nurturers are really good at putting everybody else before themselves.
Right.
Now, interestingly enough, I don't have a connector or a nurturer in my archetypes, which is probably why they're drawn to me, is because I can give them that framework to move forward. So it's really common for me for the women in my community and the women I do these money readings with, is that they're predominantly connectors and nurturers, which mean they are not so focused in on generating money in the business. Right. But they are really focused in on helping people, wanting to make a difference, wanting to make a bigger impact in the world, whether that's business or life. So they just need a little bit of help with managing their relationship it is that they have with money, to understand that these are traits that they have that they need to balance out to be able to stop putting everybody else first and start putting themselves first in the business, because you can't grow a business by putting everybody else first. It has to in business, when you work with people individually, it has to be a relationship. It's a relationship. It's give and take on both parts.
This is so good. It's so true. And while I'm listening to you, I'm rethinking about your dyslexia and the way that you pass out information and sort of categorize it. And so it means that when you're coming to these women and working with them, you're seeing a clear pattern and clear pictures of what their stories are.
Yeah. Yeah, it's whether they're willing to step beyond that. It's whether they are, and not, to be honest, not everybody is. They think they are, but they're really not. It's whether people are prepared to step beyond the fear of, and it is fear, or what it is they're consciously aware of. If they're able to step beyond that, that's where the growth comes.
Yes.
And it seems a bit ridiculous, because I'm helping people to create a premium signature program. It's like, where does all of that come into that? But to deliver at a premium, you have to be confident in who you are.
Yes.
From the inside out, because otherwise it's not going to sell.
Absolutely. And this is what, excuse me, my mind is just looking at the audience and thinking, can you guys relate, even if you didn't do the signature program with Wendy, though I highly suggest you do, it's about clarity, it's about mindset, it's about putting yourself first, it's about nurturing and connecting your business before you nurture and connect with other people. And this is the thing that Wendy and people like her, they inspire me so much, because they've found a way to shift their mindsets in a way that then supports other people, which then becomes an ongoing legacy, which is what the third question is about, which is, what legacy would you like to create through your business, Wendy? Like, how would you like to shape the world through your business?
It's a really interesting question. And before I was speaking to you, I was thinking about it. Do I have a legacy? I'm going to be honest. I was like, there's a couple of things I really struggle with a lot. One is your vision. I struggle with a vision a lot. People talk about vision all the time, and I'm like, but I don't have one, I don't think. Oh my God, what's wrong? I don't have one. But then I did think, actually, in terms of something I think I do naturally without really thinking about it, and that is that I want particularly women, if I'm honest, to, be able to break free and create a life on their terms, rather than, the norm that we get sucked into, job, just
mortgage, death.
Mortgage, debt, divorce.
Yeah.
I haven't got any kids.
Yeah.
Actually, I haven't got a mortgage either.
Wow.
That you can break free of the limiting beliefs. What's holding you back? Yeah. It just because it is that way doesn't mean to say it has to stay that way. We are all a work in process, and if we make our minds up that we want to achieve something, we can do it, as long as, I think, we reach out, we're honest with ourselves, and we reach out and we get some support to help us, whether that's reading books, listening to podcasts, working with professionals, going to networking groups, whatever shape that takes. But you can step outside of yourself and you can create something completely different for yourself. Given my personal history, statistically, I should be in jail.
Yes.
I'm here sitting on a tropical island, living life on my terms, basically.
It's just very, very inspiring, and it's just to break it all down into this beginning that was against all odds. This woman has found a way to then help people who've been in a similar situation to her, brought all of her gifts to that situation, then realized that she had outgrown that, needed a new direction, needed to honor her gifts, her particular way of doing things, and was willing to fail and to try, and then happening upon, through some very logical, conscious actions, this is what people most need help with, and then using those same skills, but now in a very different way. So a legacy that creates itself almost. It's not, you're saying you didn't drive it, but actually the side effect of that is that you're creating a business world where women are more empowered, more able to understand what it is they need to shift in their mindset, particularly as women, but it happens to everyone who has a fixed idea of what they're capable of, and then sharing that with the business community creates a more ethical business world. To me, that's a really powerful legacy.
Oh, wow. Now you put it like that. Of course you've got away with words, haven't you? I'm like, oh, that's good.
But it's all true, and I'm so glad that you agreed, because I happened upon Wendy on LinkedIn, and I'm all about energy, people. I know it's a bit woo-woo, but that's just who I am. And I'm drawn not only to her posts, but to her energy and how she interacted, and I was so happy when she agreed to be part of this, because it's exactly the kind of people that I know inspire me, and that most entrepreneurs and self-employed and solopreneurs, they tend to be a little bit different, and they want people who think outside of the box to say it's okay, you can do it your way, and you can end up on, what's the name of the island you're on, Wendy?
Ho Chang in Thailand.
Po Chang in Thailand.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
It's beautiful, with Stinky and with a lovely outfit on, no doubt. Are you swinging? Are you in a hammock? Where are you?
No, I'm not in a hammock. Okay. I can't work from a hammock. That's just like, I mean,
That's beyond
not,
even you.
Yeah, no, I'm not that type of a laptop lifestyle chick. I'm like, stick me under the aircon. I'm not going outside at the moment. It's way too hot.
I've been with you, isn't there? I absolutely would. And we go out in the evening for drinks when it's a sensible temperature.
Exactly. I just wish that I had discovered what I know now, or what I've learned in the last couple of years, a lot younger. Yes. You know, I'm 50 now. I wish I'd discovered this, or been. You can only receive it when you're open to receive it. That's a bit woo-woo. Sorry, I'm starting to go woo.
I'm with you.
I wish it hadn't taken 50 years to learn this. If I'd known about money years ago, my life would be, I think, quite different.
It's funny that you said that, because that was my one thing I was going to come back to you on. What was the one thing you'd like to leave us with? And then you spontaneously shared it. It's like perfect. It's like, it's never too late, number one, and always trust the process. You know, there's a point.
Oh my God, I say that all the time.
Yes.
Trust the process.
That's right. Well, it's been amazing. So if you guys would really like to, after listening to Wendy, find out more about her, she's got a couple of offers for us. And the first is a free money personality assessment. Tell us a little bit about that, Wendy.
Yeah, so this assessment isn't actually my assessment. Mm-hmm. So I need to be upfront there. So if anyone downloads it and they see Kendall's name on it, it's because Kendall's the creator of it. So people can download that PDF and do the quiz, and it will tell you what your top 8 archetypes are. Now, what I want you to do once you've done that is then email me back what your top archetypes are, and then we can jump on a call and I can just talk to you about your top 3 archetypes in terms of how that is going to impact on the growth of your business, because it absolutely, without a doubt, will. And the trick is to play into all the top 3 of the archetypes and not to be dominantly in the first one, which is what we have a tendency to do.
Okay. They can find that at getclientsonline.co.uk/money. And then we have a second offer. This is what you offer to your clients, a signature program, Profit Secrets. Is that right, Wendy?
Yeah, it's a check sheet. So that is, when you create a signature program, you can leverage it multiple different ways. And there are 3 ways that I suggest that you use a signature program to, create the foundation of the business. So then these are the 3 best offers to create from that.
Nice. This sounds very good, very exciting. You can find that at the getclientsonline.co.uk/secrets.
Yes.
Excellent. So that has been the first interview with Wendy. I would like to see her again. That's why I put that. I'm sure she'd be amazing. I want to talk more to this woman. She's very inspirational. It's an absolute pleasure. I'm so grateful that you took time to do this with me, Wendy. I hope it wasn't too much of a bugger for you.
No, honestly, it's been very enjoyable. It's been lovely speaking to you.
Oh, you too. So thank you again. And we'll see you next time on 3 questions. Thank you, Wendy.
Bye.
Bye.